How do you do, buckaroos? Welcome to The Slice. I am here talking to my friend Tom Bridge. I am your host, Kelly Guimont. I probably should have started there. Hi, Tom. I'm really glad you made it here today. Tom hosts the MacAdmins podcast, and I can find you various other places now too, can't I?
You can find me other places. I'm the principal product manager for Jump Cloud for Apple Technologies. And, I spend all of my days now working on the future of macOS and iOS device management across, a large swath of an identity manager. So I was going to say, I spend a lot of times doing a bunch of different things. And of course, you can find me on the Twitter machine, complaining about the baseball strike and those terrible owners at tbridge777 on Twitter.
Now, you actually were the first person I thought of when we got the opening announcement from the TV Plus stuff about Friday Night Baseball. Because we've heard that like maybe there was it felt like every streamer kind of took a run at baseball at one point and never really got there, and somehow Apple made it all the way around the bases.
Well, it's very interesting. Apple has joins a robust lineup of organizations that are doing the occasional broadcast. Facebook has had games, YouTube has had games, and now Apple gets Friday Night Baseball. I'm looking forward to hearing more about that. I can't really think about it until the season is for real. So for me to care about this more, I really need the owners to settle to open the lockout and really invite players to start playing baseball again. So until the owners can really make a deal. Or at least just negotiate in good faith. It's really hard for me to get excited about this. So ball's in their court. I'm really bummed that this happened on the year when the owners were being jerks instead of letting me get excited about Friday Night Baseball on my Apple TV, as opposed to where we are now, which is something I can't watch.
Yep. The thing I noticed, the thing that I was sort of surprised by, it was, for as much as they told us about it, like it seems sort of light on details. Like we don't know what games they're going to be, like how those are chosen, or if it's going to be like it says it's only going to be broadcast on TV Plus when you are able to, the ones that they choose are exclusively there. But I don't know if that means like, if I'm in a blackout area, is it a game I can see, or, any of that kind of stuff. Cause I know baseball broadcasts are a lot like basketball broadcasts.
Yeah, it's pretty messy out there. And I will say, as a Washington Nationals fan, usually, that I really can't wait to watch those games on Friday night, because right now I've kind of got to cheat, beg, borrow, and steal to watch over a streaming service instead of paying a stupid amount of money to a cable company that I loathe. So, if I think about things that way, I'm really looking forward to that kind of option. We'll have to find out. The devil is in the details here. And I'm very hopeful that, they have negotiated a good way around this. I know that in the past that when those games, there was no other way to watch the game. And so, for example, the local cable affiliate was not showing that game. And so my guess would be that there's no blackout on those kinds of terms, because they're negotiated separately. The teams are paid separately. Everybody is handled separately. So my hope is we'll get a wide swath of games that way. And a future that, looks bright for baseball fans, no matter where they are.
Yeah. Now, do you use the at-bat, MLB at-bat app?
In the past, I have used the at-bat app. I've had to use it with an unlocator VPN service to watch games in my local market. That works moderately well. It's almost like the game falls off the truck a little bit. But I would, the other funny bit of all of these things is that there are only a few teams in baseball who do not offer a local streaming package, and the Nationals are one of them, because our media rights are held by the Mid-Atlantic Sports Network, which is owned in most part by the Baltimore Orioles. So the Baltimore Orioles are in no way, shape, or form incented to give the Nationals fans anything nice, let alone do anything nice for their own fans. They're really a scofflaw owner. So in a lot of ways, the local market is very screwed up.
We have the same issue here with, because NBA rights are very similar. And Oregon is considered a blackout area for the Portland Trailblazers, even though my dad lives 250 miles away and can't get Comcast in order to watch all of the games that would be available to him otherwise. Like, it's just not a choice. And it's not like, and yet I live like 8 miles or something from where they actually play, and I can watch every game because I don't have a choice whether or not I have Comcast. It's Comcast or nothing at the
That's
moment.
right.
So I can watch them from across town, and my dad can't watch them from across the state. And so, on top of that, they're his fallback team because my dad was a Sonics man. So,
Oh, man.
yeah. So, yeah. Welcome to old time basketball with Kelly and Tom. So that's why I wanted to ask you about it in particular, is because I knew that I knew you were a baseball fan, and I knew that this was definitely something right off the top that was going to catch your interest.
Oh, for
Um,
sure. And, it was
yeah.
really exciting to see new things there, to see the Apple kind of step into the streaming light. I know that there have been rumors of deals with the NFL coming for
Mhm.
Sunday Ticket. So, it's very possible Apple's really trying to make the TV Plus service really into something. I'm excited by that because, if I think
Me
about
too.
quality of what I watch on that service right now, it's amazing.
Yeah.
And I want to see that continue to be the case.
Me too. Whenever I've sort of, taken a flyer on something on TV Plus, I've always been delighted by it when I was finished. She said wearing a Ted's Biscuits t-shirt.
Very
Um,
nice.
so, like, but aside from the fact that everybody kind of loves Ted Lasso, like all the other stuff I've watched there, like Acapulco was really good. Doctor
Yes.
Brain is spectacular, but also terrifying. Don't watch it at night. It's so good, but like, I did watch it at night one night and couldn't sleep very well after that. And I'm not a person who usually has that problem, so that was kind of surprising. But like everything else that I've seen so far has all been top notch. So being able to just sort of pick at random and find something great happens way more on TV Plus than it has anywhere else. The other thing I noticed about that was that it wasn't, Friday Night Baseball if you have Apple TV Plus or anything like that. Like the same $5 a
Right.
month is gonna they're just throwing in baseball for that. So I thought that was the other part that was interesting, was that there was no price
Yeah,
tier,
my guess for
added for
that
that.
for that kind of price tier, it's probably going to be one or two games on a Friday evening. My guess is an East Coast and a
Yeah,
West Coast game,
yeah.
or maybe a Central Time and a West Coast game.
Yeah, they said there
But
were 2 games every Friday, and so I assume
yeah,
it's something like that, a couple of time zones, and we'll see what we get. So,
yep,
yeah, so we got, new colors for an existing phone. We got a we got 5G in the SE, which tells me that the SE is a phone they're still taking seriously. I'm really glad for that. There are people who are team
yeah,
Touch ID. I'm happy for that. So all of that makes it good. It starts at 429, which is a great price for somebody who just needs a little bit of phone and doesn't need, the whole phone, capital T, capital W, capital P, the whole phone. If
correct.
you if you just need, I need to make some calls and my kids are going to FaceTime me once in a while and show me what the grandkids are up to, you know, rock and roll. Like
Yeah,
folks that aren't into it, it's great.
it's a very approachable price tier. All of the new Apple devices that we saw today, the new iPhone SE, the new iPad Air, those are all 5G devices. What's also really interesting is the Wi-Fi chip on all of the devices that we saw today is also primarily Wi-Fi 6, but not Wi-Fi 6 extended. There are
Mm,
very few organizations that are actually shipping 6E access points still. So my guess is 6E is going to wait another year or two.
right.
That's no big surprise. I mean, the Wi-Fi industry has really been caught in the pants by the pandemic and the supply chain issues that are
And supply
resultant in
chain.
all of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So no big surprise. I think that that's not something that anybody's really going to miss. It's a
Not
two by
yet.
two radio on the SE and a 4x4 on the Air. And so those are really solid Wi-Fi radios throughout.
Mhm. Yeah.
And I was really thrilled to kind of see that. Those kind of radios are excellent for corporate networks in specific.
Mhm.
Those networks are going to give you a lot more bang for your buck
Yeah.
in terms of those the Wi-Fi 6E environment or the Wi-Fi 6 environment. So I'm really excited to kind of see what that actually turns into being as we go through the process here.
Yeah. And also, I think unless you've purchased networking gear for your house recently, and maybe people did in the last couple of years, for some mystery reason, a lot of people felt a need to
Sure.
upgrade their home network over the last couple of years. And Wi-Fi 6, if you're not a person who bought anything recently, then Wi-Fi 6 wasn't even an option when you were purchasing your home router or anything like that. So it makes sense that, it makes sense to be capable but not have to sort of require even the next thing beyond it, at this point, especially on something that's going to be considered kind of an entry level device. The
Well, and if
M1
you think about
Air.
the differences between, the Wi-Fi 6 and Wi-Fi 5 standards, for example, there is much less speed increase there,
Yeah,
especially for two stream radio devices. So you're not losing a whole lot, even if you don't
yeah,
have a new version of the device. So, but that takes
yeah,
us to the Air. What did you make
yeah.
of the iPad Air?
Well, I think basically it's gonna turn into a it's a confusing lineup now because we don't have the
Yes.
next iPad Pro, which is also an M1 device. And so now you're telling me sort of the lower end device and the highest end device have exactly the same processor. So what makes them different? And I think right now, if you wanted to buy an iPad, the difference is, the only downside to getting an iPad Air right now is that maybe you can't see it over the pile of money that you saved by not buying a Pro.
I
That's the
mean,
best I
that's
got.
pretty much it. Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
best I've got at this point. I mean, it's a very capable machine. It gets an M1, which is nice.
Yeah.
And we start to see, some real benefits for those devices. It's a year-over-year upgrade.
Yeah.
For in terms of it being a solid iPad, unless you have a real strong need for the Pro case.
Hmm.
Or the case of operations that a Pro represents, or the really huge storage needs, because the
Right.
M1 Pro goes all the way out to 2 terabytes. The Air tops out at 256. So
Yeah.
unless you have that massive storage needs, there's no reason.
And
Everything
even if
else,
you
it works.
do, you can still hook it up. Like USB-C still works. They showed it, driving a big old monitor. You can buy a little
It will drive
majigger.
the new studio display.
Yes, which is the next thing on the list to talk about is the Big Mac because now we have the Mac Studio. So I know you have a machine called Studio Monster. Is your Studio Monster becoming a Big Mac?
Well, no. So the Studio Monster, I had a long conversation with the user whose Studio Monster it is. It's my dad. He's a photographer in his retirement years, and I talked to him today, and he was like, I'm not driving the Mac Pro I have deep enough. There's no way I need to spend another X number of $1,000 on a new Mac Studio. However, he was really excited about the Studio display, which we'll get to in a minute. But I think the really exciting bit that is the Mac Studio, again, the Mac Studio is Apple's first new Mac, like full stop, since
Mhm.
2005 when they announced the Mini. The laptops have changed names, but the form factors remain the same.
Mhm.
I mean, obviously we went from PowerBook, to MacBook Pro, and things along those lines. But this is Apple's first new form factor in
Yeah.
17 years. It's wild. But what we are taking to call the Mac Mini Chunky Boy, or oh Lord, he coming, gets an M1 Max or an M1 Ultra. Now, an M1 Ultra, which I think is fascinating, is two M1 Max chips, slapped together and given a
Yes.
special mesh interface, which is
Mhm.
4 times the speed of the traditional chip to chip interface, which means that
Mhm.
it can actually do the kind of throughput and represent itself as a single chip in the architecture, even though
Mhm.
it's two separate dies, 20
Yeah.
processors, 64 cores of GPU.
I
This thing is going to crater performance scores for everybody else
Yeah.
around it. You are looking at the flaming wreckage of everybody else's Geekbench
Of
scores.
every other Geekbench
Um,
result, all of them.
yeah, I mean, if
Yeah.
even if you look at what they compared it to, which was my favorite, they compared it to a 27-inch iMac. They compared it, specced out. They compared it
Yeah.
to a Mac Pro, specced out,
Mhm.
and then
Mhm.
they smoked it. I mean,
Yes.
this thing just has raw processing power that is incredibly hard to see. I've seen a Geekbench score going around. The multi-core score for that is something like 24,000, which is just Looney Tunes in terms of its raw
Yeah.
throughput. It's got six in the M1 Ultra mode. It's got six Thunderbolt 4 ports. The M1 Max has four plus two more USBs on the front. 10 gig
Mhm.
Ethernet standard. You can't even buy it without 10 gig Ethernet, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And a form factor that's no larger than, I mean, a footprint that's no larger than the Mac Mini we currently have. At
Yeah.
7.7 inches square and 4 inches tall, this thing is a powerhouse. I loved the image of the fans that they put on there in terms of the new cooling system. So count me as super excited about what this is. And really thrilled to do it, although it does mean the death of the beloved 27-inch iMac, which is no longer a
That
product in Apple's lineup.
Yeah, it evaporated when the store returned after the event. Apple
Yes.
didn't. It's no longer there, so it is apparently now the former product that Apple would
Yep.
sell you, which is a bummer. It's
I'll
kind of
miss
end of
it.
an era.
It is, but I don't
Only
think that
because
it's
they
necessarily the terminal end of that era. I feel
no.
like there are circumstances where you can see this coming back. We do
Oh
get
yeah.
a new display out of the deal. We do get the Apple Studio display, which
Mhm.
comes in, regular glass or nano textured glass if you've got really
Mhm.
bright lights. It's got three different stand options. The standard
Mhm.
iMac style stand. It's got the Apple Display XDR style stand,
Yeah.
which is tilt and pan. And then also it'll come in a Visa mount option. Now, the
Yeah. The
the
Visa
really
mount.
important thing that's associated with that is that you can't switch the mounts later. So get the one you need. Um,
Yeah.
that is a big change. I opted. This is what I bought today. I only bought the studio display because
Okay.
I'm excited to get that on my desk. It's got a stage center stage camera in there as well as a
Mhm.
good microphone array. It's going to become my primary display that's right in front of me. I bought it with the Visa mount because I'm a
Okay.
Visa mount guy. I like the up and down that I can get from a Visa mount environment. I've already got
Mhm.
the mount picked out. It's going to go on my desk after the office gets done being painted. But I'm really excited to see where this goes. This is a great price point at $15.99. What I thought was really interesting is that the stand appears to be the same stand that they put on the XDR. That stand costs $1,000 on the XDR. On
Mhm.
the studio display, it's $400.
Yeah.
So I don't know why that difference is there, other than it just is. Um, and the at 15.99, I mean, I was expecting 19.99, so I kind of felt
Me
like I
too.
saved $400 today.
Already.
And
Yeah.
my wife even said the same. So I have spousal buy-in on this new adventure. But overall,
Yeah.
I'm really thrilled to see what this environment looks like. Apple's done an incredible job with the studio in terms of making
Mhm.
this a new focal point for the
Yeah.
desktop large enterprises.
Yeah.
And the throughput and the memory usage and all of this processor's power is going to make for a Mac that it doesn't have to work very hard doing anything. It's going
Yeah.
to take
And
whatever your
the other
workflow is and
thing
kind of say, "Oh, is that all?"
Mhm. The thing I liked about it was, that they finally like, in the video, they had, like, high-powered software developers that were all talking about, uh, I like earlier I was sort of considering, weapons grade applications, like the folks that are doing high end, releasing professional audio for people who are recording artists, or people who are shooting cinematic video and need to be able to edit and process on files of that size, and the numbers of files and the scale of kind of what all of that looks like. And for those folks to all be really impressed, like, this blew everybody's hair back. I feel like, every single person there was was not was not saying something in an excited way because they were on an Apple, because Apple had them in the video. They were saying it in an excited way because they were excited. And so it was
I
really
thought it
nice to
was
see all of that, like, wow, I'm really impressed with what I can do.
Well, special shout out to Apple also on International Women's Day, picking engineers and creatives and programmers and product managers who are all women to demonstrate these incredibly powerful apps on an incredibly powerful platform. I think the only men
Mhm.
who spoke today were Tim and John Turnus and Johnny Shruji.
Yeah, I
And
think that was
good,
it.
good.
Yeah,
More like this,
yeah.
please.
Yeah, Daniel Jelka was on Twitter and said, in quotes, like, "I'd hire more women developers, but I can't find any." And I'm like, it was nice. Yeah. 'Cause, like, because I always like, it was always like an internal scorecard. Like I always keep track of how many women they have in an event, and this
Yep,
was basically all, and it was really nice to see that. And also, the brief moments we got from Tim, he was out on stage in a blue sweater with a bright yellow Apple Watch band, which I thought was very subtle because he never talked about it, and just said, but just
yep.
came out blue and yellow, which was great. I was I was impressed with all of it. I just upgraded to 4K monitors not that long ago, so I don't think I have a 5K monitor in my future, unfortunately. I love that there are ports on the front of the Mini. I think that's a great
Yes.
idea. Like a couple of nice, easy, I just want to charge my phone, or I'm going to put this SD card in, and those are in and out all the time. So that was really handy. The fact that the monitor has so much function was the other piece that I was really impressed with, as far as like, a monitor goes. Like it's a charging hub, it's a Thunderbolt hub, all of that stuff that you kind of get slapped on the back. You used to get a whole computer slapped on the back, but now you get like all these other useful things for whatever you're going to hook it up to. And that seems awesome too.
Yeah, I'll be very interested to see what kind of charging cable they make available because my guess is it's going to ship with a power cable and that's it. You're going to be on your own to bring a charging cable to this. So now I'm going to have to go find yet another charging cable to do this. I'm not thrilled about that, but I feel like, hey, par for the course.
Well, check the
Maybe the
box
mini,
because your
maybe the,
phone,
I was going to say,
maybe
we'll
your
see.
phone came with C to Lightning, but you didn't have a C wall charger yet, so you left it in the box. Because I'm pretty sure that's where mine is right now.
Yeah.
So
I
that
keep
might
them in a
be,
box on my desk so that, I can hand them out to people as I run into them. But yeah, that tends
yeah.
to be it.
So yeah. Did you have any final thoughts for what you've got? Anything else? Because I mean, that was kind of a
I'm really
lot.
thrilled.
So
I was gonna say, I'm really thrilled with the way this event worked today. I was, incredibly excited to see the studio. I cannot wait to see the teardowns and the production reviews and all of those things that'll
mhm.
start coming out this time next week. And I definitely slipped that product announcement into my IT director's box this morning to be like, I
you
could take a
know,
few of these, for science.
for
And
science,
because it's for science, you can't say no, it's for science.
it's for
Now
science. I
there's
have
no
a boss
way,
I'd
but
like you to work on next. When you're done with yours, I'd like you to work on mine and see about for science. So let me know.
I love it.
So Tom, where can the people find you?
You can find me at junkcloud.com. You can also find me at tbridge777 on the Twitter machines. I'm trying to think where else I am. MacAdmins podcast is great. We are also going to be doing a lot of material around the recent Apple launch. We just had Jeremy Butcher on from Apple Product Marketing to talk
Nice.
about Apple Business Essentials. So you can find us there at podcast.macadmins.org or anywhere good podcasts and bad podcasts are found, including Spotify. So
All right.
plenty of bad spot podcasts on Spotify. Anyway,
That's fair.
but yeah, that's where you can find us. And I look forward. Thank you so much for having me on the slice. I appreciate it, Kelly.
Thanks so much for being here. I'm your host, Kelly Guimont, and I hope everyone has a great afternoon, and stay tuned for more content here at The Slice.
Bye, everybody.